John, Paul, George and Ringo wrote When I'm 64, I guess they were talking about people, not motorcycles. But here we are in 2021, and believe it or not, the Harley Davidson Sportster is now some 64 years old. In fact, its lineage is the longest of any motorcycle in current production. It's literally been in production since 1957. It's always had that beautiful kind of aesthetic to it, and of course it's a 45-degree V-twin. Over the years it's gone through a number of iterations and has steadily grown to 1100 cc's through to 1200 cc's. And now we find ourselves in 2021 where it just won't pass the Euro emissions, and so it's got to be put out to rest. And despite a great history of being very competitive off-road, being a great road bike and also a great hill climb machine, it's really no longer competitive with the current motorcycles from the likes of Triumph with the Bonneville Bobber, Indian with the Bobber, and also the FTR 1200S in terms of a flat tracker. But the Sportster's always endured and predates those bikes. It was used for hill climbing, for flat tracking, for drag racing, and even for setting land speed records, where it reached well over 200 miles an hour. I'm sure it needed parachute in those days. The brakes were never anything to write home about. But now we have the all-new 1250T Revolution rather than Evolution Max. And this borrows a lot of technology and a lot of components in some ways, or at least inspired components from other parts of the range. We've now got a Pan America engine, detuned to 121 horsepower, but a similar torque figure of around 92 to 94 pound per feet. And also it is relatively light, just over 500 pounds, fully wet, ready to ride. Visually, it's interesting. It really wears kind of like a fat front tyre like the 48. It's got that slimmed down tail unit, very much like an XR750 flat tracker, and of course with the high-rise exhaust system looking very Stores, it's got that kind of flat tracker look, but the ride is more kind of laid back with the forward controls and the upright bars, more bobber style, so it kind of blends styles a little bit. Seems to have a headlight very similar to the Fat Bob, and lighting all round is LED. In terms of the engine, it's a variable valve technology engine like the 1250 found in the Pan America, and that has hydraulic lifters, so there's no valve checks to do at service time. I'd imagine services are every 5,000 miles as they are on the Pan America and as is typical for Harley Davidson as a whole. The bike benefits from cornering ABS, cornering traction control, and different riding modes which can be accessed through the touchscreen TFT, which is colour. Very nice. Now Harley spent some time on the styling, obviously, working their clay models, and really from the design sketches that they had originally, very little has changed. It's very unusual to see a prototype bike that looks just so similar to the original design sketches. It's kind of a testament to what Harley are trying to achieve here, something that is much more in tune with modern standards and is much more kind of skunk work, if you like, rather than designed by a committee and nobody really gave it any clear direction. The fit and finish on face value looks good, as is always the case with Harley, and initially it will be offered in three colours, a white colour, a black colour and a red colour basically. And I think the MSRP is going to be $14,995 for the black, and for the colour options, including white I believe, probably be a couple $100 more. Harley were keen to show their test rider razzing the bike around a racetrack, but it's not really a track bike, it's not really a street fighter as such. And you'll notice from the footage that every time there's a severe lean angle, the camera's a long way away, or the lean is on the other side from where the camera is. Ground clearance looks respectable. I think it's going to be much better than a Triumph bobber, and infinitely better than an Indian bobber, for instance, but it probably won't be as good as, say, an Indian FTR 1200S, which arguably is what they were aiming at, because they're both kind of flat tracker type designs, and both around 15k, and both around 120 horsepower, both around sort of 90 to 95 pound per feet of torque, and both around 500 pounds wringing wet. So it's probable that that was their intended target audience, although they've kind of mixed genres a little bit by making it kind of half bobber, half flat tracker. And to some people that will make it look like they don't know what they're doing, and to other people they will totally get it and really like the design and aesthetics of this bike. Accessory wise, there's some useful accessories. I would imagine the Sundowner comfort seat will be extremely popular, and for shorter riders perhaps the mid controls. I think they're about $650, and that will bring the forward controls underneath the rider, making it much more accessible for the shorter leg. I didn't notice any options for bars and risers at present, but I'm sure they will be available shortly. Luggage wise, they just seem to be offering bags for the rear pillion seat at present, and there is actually a pillion seat option, sissy bar and pillion pegs, so it's possible to take somebody with you, not just a solo bike, but predominantly aimed at a solo rider. Personally, I think they've done a good job, and it's kind of the second bike this year that really screams a new direction for Harley, and credit where credit is due. I think it's a very noteworthy update, and I hope it sells well for Harley Davidson. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you buy one? Have they got it right?
Hey you, if you want to become one of the Ride On people, don't forget to subscribe. Ride often, ride carefully, ride on.